Hey, everyone. My name is Laura Hay. Happy to have you all here. You look like I'm very impressed with the size of the group today, and I'm also impressed with the amount of canned goods I see out in the front that you guys brought in to support Project Host. So thank you very much for that. And welcome to day 85 of Life in the Upside Down. It's only 85 days. I mean, amazing. In the bulwarks last week, Jonathan Last wrote, "The American age is over, and it ended because the American people were no longer worthy of it." Let that just sink in for a second. It's a very harsh statement, but as much as I don't want it to be true, I believe it is. We gave up our power. We stopped reading. We stopped respecting education and educators. We stopped participating in the government by the people, of the people, and for the people. We turned inward and away from our ideals. We started viewing others as taking something away from us. And we turned a deaf ear toward traditional media, choosing instead to believe podcasters and influencers who better represented what the disaffected were already thinking. Sherilyn Ifill, president of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, wrote a frighteningly prescient piece last week, noting that Trump's current practice of disappearing immigrants is just testing the fences. He has successfully deployed thugs wearing no badging or identification to pull random people off the street with no warrants and ship them to a foreign country's jails with no due process. So far, he's also managed to avoid court rulings, including some from the Supreme Court. But worse is the normalization of these actions. The official dehumanization of individuals not yet convicted, but certainly not presumed innocent. Once we allow the rights of any person to be swept away, we open the door to more. We give Trump and his personal army the ability to arrest anyone it deems to be a threat to his agenda, and to send them, American citizen or not, to jail in El Salvador and potentially other foreign countries. Will we be seeing this on the streets of Greenville eventually? Or has it already happened? We cannot turn a blind eye to this. We no longer have the luxury of saying we are for democracy. Now we all have a role to play in fighting for that democracy. Believe me, I know how lofty and overblown that sounds. I read it and reread it and rewrote it several times. But the fact is, the American age may not be dead yet, but it is on life support. And all of us have a part to play in saving it. The acts of doing something that we talked about during the last election cycle are so much more crucial now. Then women had a pretty big month in March. We had 60 people sign up for an advocacy training program that we did with Ren. We have about a dozen people making calls to voters, encouraging them to reach out to their state senators on the DEI prohibition legislation. And the summit that we've been talking about was held on April 5th. Participants from the GCDP, the Spartanburg County Democratic Party, Young Dems, Black Dems, Furman Dems, High School Dems, North Greenville, South Greenville, East Side Dems, Hope Huddle, Greenville Huddle, Tell 'em Tuesday, Together Greenville, We the People Greenville, 5051, Indivisible Upstate. Some current elected officials, recent and current candidates attended. This is a huge step for our Democratic community in Greenville County. What emerged from our 3-hour session was a solid analysis of our party. And by that, I don't mean the GCDP, but the Democratic community that all our groups together comprise. What's working and what isn't? What needs to be strengthened? What attitudes need to be jettisoned? What 5 working groups began the process of applying that information to key areas. communications and messaging, community and coalition building, voter mobilization, issue advocacy, and candidate development and support. These groups will continue to refine and expand the work we started to develop actionable plans that can be implemented this year, this election cycle, so like now, by our entire Democratic coalition. And I can't stress this enough. If our current situation has shown us anything, it's that while we have many unique elements and ideologies, our foundation is the same belief system. We have to learn to harness that power, not diffuse it. Our next step is to reach out to issue-aligned nonprofits and community organizations to try to develop areas where we can work together to educate, inform, and mobilize voters for 2025 city council elections and the significant local, state, and federal elections in 2026. We have reason to believe that some major groups in Greenville, this is really exciting, with significant constituencies may be willing to work with our Democratic community this year. That would significantly increase our reach and our potential to engage voters. Dem Women is proud to be part of the coalition of organizations that put together the Empty Chair Town Hall, the hands-off protest, and the rally planned for next Saturday in Unity Park. Protesting is essential to add our voice to others in the country and to visibly stand up for democracy against autocracy. But as important as that is, the bulk of our efforts do fall at home. We can see our state legislature moving to mimic the governing principles evidenced now in Washington. Legislation prohibiting DEI in state government and any independent contractor or business contracted with the state was approved to the House and passed on to the Senate. As I mentioned, we have volunteers making calls to voters to ask them to reach out to their state senators about this bill, but we can always use more people on the phones. So come see me. I'll be hanging around here after the meeting. Come see me if you are interested in joining the team. This is important work. The state legislature continues to push the idea of tax restructuring or a tax cut, despite the fact that our state budget is more than 1/3 supported by federal funding. That kind of puts the lie to what the governor always says about we're not taking any federal money, which is why we didn't have school lunches last summer. According to a Post and Courier editorial, this has really shocked me. So maybe you all know this, but federal funds provide 1/4 of the money to run the State Department of Environmental Services, 1/3 of the money to run the State Education Department, almost half of the Department of Public Health budget, more than half of the budget for the Department of Social Services, and 2/3 of the budget for the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the massive Medicaid program. The state's Office of Resilience got $150 million of its $187 million budget from the federal government this year. In its monthly legislative call last week, the League of Women Voters lobbyist Lynn Teague suggested that the legislature was continuing to push a version of the tax reform bill without considering the impact of likely federal budget cuts on our state budget. School vouchers continue to move forward, while Medicaid expansion is almost certainly a non-starter with this new administration. South Carolina ranks 42nd in the U.S. in education, but in the top 5 in book banning. We're number 5. The State Department of Education has one of the most egregious book banning regulations in the country, and it exercises it frequently. With an 88-35 supermajority in the House, a 34-12 margin in the Senate, and the governorship, Republicans have little to be concerned about. The same is true in county council, where Democrats hold 2 out of 12 seats. The bright spot in our political situation is the city council, where we have a Democratic majority. And this year, 2 Democratic seats will be contested. It is crucial that we elect Tina Belge, who is here somewhere today. and re-elect Lillian Brock Fleming and continue to hold this majority. Because being in the minority, especially in a supermajority situation, well, all the words I can think of are not appropriate to say that. And it's even worse with Trump in office and the Freedom Caucus driving the bus. Legislators in red states like ours are emboldened by what they've seen in the past 85 days, and they want to see more of it. Into this, week after week, our elected officials go forward, tilting at the windmills and fighting the good fight. We asked 3 of these warriors to join us today and talk about what it's like to govern in the age of Trump, and specifically give us some ideas on ways we can support their efforts. We're going to start with Wendell Jones, representative of District 25, who cannot be with us today, but provided a video, which I am going to do my best to get to run. If you'll just be patient with me.
Hey friends, thank you guys so much for allowing me to come and talk to you this way. So thank you so much, Laura, for making this happen for me. Thank you to the Democratic women of Greenville County. I appreciate the time. I know you guys have Chandra and Ennis there, and I know they're going to bring you some incredible insights on how we need to conduct ourselves right now as we navigate this Trump era. But I also want to just add a little bit to that and just give you some things that I've been thinking about. Here we go. Number 1, I want to encourage us to focus on issues that actually affect people's lives. I know that sounds elementary, but it's so easy to get distracted and start to chase things that really don't impact people's lives. And this is how you go about determining if what's being discussed really affects people's lives. I got 2 questions that I want you to ask yourself. Number 1, does this issue affect people's everyday lives, meaning their income, their health, their freedom, their education? If it does not impact those things, folks, we don't have time to spend energy and resources on it. We're going to move on. Number 2, is this issue actually moving through a decision-making body? Is it on the agenda of county council, city council, the state government, the school board? And can we apply pressure that can actually make a difference? Those are the things that should get our attention. For example, right now at the House, and you all know this, we are doing battle against this anti-DEI bill. This is a bill upon which we need to apply pressure. Okay. And let me tell you how. So let's go on to the next thing. One of the things I want to encourage you to do, to not do. Don't just post. Yes, post on social media, but don't just post. We have to organize. That's something my good friend Chandra Dillard says all the time. Because folks, it's so easy and so convenient to post on social media right now. But listen, real pressure happens when people take action together. Here are some things that we can actually do. Here's some actionable things that we can do. We've got to pull back out phone banking. Yeah. Normally we dust off phone banking during election time. Now we have to phone bank as a way of advocacy for various issues. It would be great to do it right now for DEI. We got to pull back out phone banking. And this will allow us to apply some pressure, and it's pressure that politicians feel. I promise you they feel it. Another thing that we need to do, guys, is micro-volunteering. Micro-volunteering. Give folks one small task each week, like calling one of their representatives or forwarding one video or attending one meeting. Small wins build momentum. Small wins. Don't overwhelm folks. Everybody's busy. But if we do what I call micro-volunteering, let's just issue a single actionable item a week, and we'll begin to create some momentum. And here's the good old-fashioned thing that we really need to do a better job, because the folks on the other side of the aisle really do a great job at this, and that's fundraising. We got to consistently fundraise, not just when it's election time, but we have an ongoing battle, people. And so we got to continue to replenish our coffers so that we can create newsletters, hold town halls because they're not having them, and make sure that we put our messaging out there in all the places that the would-be voters would be. And when I say put our messaging out there, we've got to do something else. We've got to get outside of our own bubble. We've got to build outside of our own bubble. If we're very honest with ourselves, we just talk with people who already agree with us. That's comfortable, but that's not where the opportunity lies. In this Trump era, we have to find people who are now tired. There is a growing sense of buyer's remorse, even in this good old red state. And we all know it's not really red. It's more of a state that leans toward apathy. But there are quite a few people out there who are sitting in the middle of the road that we can gain. But there are also some Republicans who are now having buyer's remorse. And so we've got to get outside of our bubble. And when we get outside of the bubble, we have to listen. We got to listen before we educate. Let's hear their concerns. Here's why I think that benefits us tremendously. Because we have solutions. We have solutions. We want to solve problems. We don't want clicks. We want to solve problems. So listen first. And lastly, don't burn out. Let's build up. We don't want to win this season by just yelling louder. We want to win by actual governance. We want to be strategic. We want to be persistent. And we want to love people. Loving people more than we love our positions. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Guys, pick one issue a month and let's drive it. Let's create one call to action a week and let's drive it. And make sure people see results, even if it's small. We need those victories. We need those small wins. All right, I talked longer than I should have, but guess I'm a politician and a pastor, so you know we can talk. Thank you again, guys, for your leadership, for your fire, for your consistent support, and thank you for still having faith in democracy. I know this sounds a little cliche, but we are fighting for the soul of our state. We are. And your voice is not too small. So let's be heard. Let's be wiser. And remember this, we are South Carolina and we don't give up. We show up. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everybody.
So I thank Wendell for doing that video for us and also for the plug for the work we've already started, which is making phone calls on the DEI bill, which is crucial. When he made this video, we still had a chance in the House. We don't have that now, but we haven't lost the battle yet. So keep plugging and I encourage you to help us out. Okay, on to our live speakers. Or I should say our present speakers. Words are my thing after all. I just want to reiterate to those of you who are new to our meetings that we have a Q&A and will be after both Chandra and Ennis have had a chance to speak. You're going to write your questions on the index cards on your table. And when we start the Q&A, just hold it up and a board member will come around and collect them and we'll get them answered. So Chandra Dillard really does not need an introduction. She's served District 23 since she was first elected in 2008. Prior to that, she had 2 terms on the Greenville City Council. She is the Director of Community Relations at Furman, and if you go anywhere or do anything at all in Greenville, you have seen her out and about because she is everywhere supporting everybody, and she's just an inspiration. So Chandra, thank you very much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Laura. And let me just say, I'm glad to be alive. She said, that's a good word. I'm coming out of Columbia. Some days I don't know. Let me just say, I'm glad to be here with all of you. Anytime I can get in a room with more than 35 Democrats, it's a good day. And 35 is the magic number because that's how many Democratic House Caucus members that we have. We just welcome number 35 in Courtney Waters, replacing Marvin Pendarvis out of the Charleston delegation. I mean, she was sworn in last week and she was taking the well on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, there was really no startup time for her, and but she is a trooper and we welcome her. And we also have a special election for Representative Will Wheeler that will take place in June. And so we are already talking about how we can help the candidate that came out of the Democratic primary in Florence to make sure that that will be number 36 for us. So we're in a phase where all of this is going on, where we are focused on winning seats, maintaining seats and winning seats. But before I go there, let me just back up and say, you know, it is a joy to serve with Wendell. He is a pastor, and this is his second year in the legislature, and I love his enthusiasm and approach. And I told him, I said, sometimes you're just too nice, you know. Anyway, it is a joy to serve with him. Let me say this. So what is the atmosphere? People ask me all the time, what in the world is going on down there, and how can you stand to be down there? What's going on, and how do you come back and keep going back? But let me lay the foundation for you of what's really happening. So Project 2025 is real. You need to know that. And if you don't know that by now, I don't know what you've been watching. But it has tentacles. So there is the federal devastation that you see, but there is also a playbook for state legislatures. And our Republican majority has found themselves in that space where they feel as if they have to implement part of that playbook. So we do have 88 Republicans in the House. 17 to 20, depending on which day it is and which issue it is, define themselves as being a part of the Freedom Caucus. The Freedom Caucus are Trump's loyal list. That's the only way I can put it. They are purists, MAGA, whatever you want to say. And they are the agitators for the other members of the GOP. Does that make sense? So no longer one of the Republicans say, well, we used to fight y'all as Democrats. Now, you know, we're not even worried about you. I said, well, you should be. You should be, because we haven't backed down and we're not backing up either. But the Freedom Caucus is putting particular pressure on the GOP to employ that 2025 agenda. And so how is that showing up? It is showing up in the form of the issues that you have seen roll out in legislation of late. I mean, everything that rolls from the top has come down to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Our Republican Party, for the time that I have been at the State House, have taken great care and pride in saying, oh, we're not like DC. We're not like DC. And that was true, sort of, kind of, until this session. And it's because of Trump, who's doubled down, and then his loyalists that he has in strategic places to make sure that the agenda is working. So what do we do? So as Democrats, our charge and where we have found ourselves, we know we're always in a defensive position. And as quick as Trump can sign an executive order, that's how fast it's happening at the State House. People have commented to me, they say, well, Chandra, you seem, we're seeing you more on social media and more, as how I show up. And I said, well, Trump is working all of us. We got to, do what we got to do to make sure. But our goal as Democrats have been to alert the public and to speak to the next election and the electorate. Because as Wendell said, there is opportunity. These are the worst of times. These are the best of times. And we have to keep hope and optimism. It is the worst of times because of what we're going through. But it is the best of times because we have so many things to campaign on. So many, you know what I mean? We have so many messages we can take to the public and inform people, as Wendell talked about. So don't give up hope. We are in a good position. Now, we have seen some things, and Wendell, he's right. I always say, don't agonize, let's organize. Let's not get stressed, let's get a strategy. There's more than one way to do something, particularly in the political arena. And I want to say that some of the things we have been able to do, particularly when it landed on the diversity, equity, and inclusion topic, and I'm calling it its full name because that's one thing as Democrats, we decided not to bow down to DEI because the other side has demonized DEI. So every time we talk about it, we say diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we had some research that I was able to render to the caucus about messaging, about using words like unity, American dream, opportunity. Those are the words that's going to have us come back into the fold, right? And to galvanize people. But I want to say that organizing works. So on the diversity, equity, and inclusion issue, just an example, the first hearing had people standing in line for 5-6 hours, the 6-7 o'clock at night. The GOP leadership, I think, felt so bad about what they heard. There was not one proponent, right? Everybody was opposed. They rewrote the bill. It became softer. Still bad in our eyes, right? But it did become softer. By the time we left on the Thursday, they convened a caucus meeting because it's like a cult, you just gotta jump in, you don't really have much to say. They received a call from Washington. This is no joke, y'all. President Trump called them and said, put the bill back the way my executive order is written. So we thought as Democrats, this is going to be a test. Will South Carolina GOP stand up and continue to be independent, or will they fold? And what did they do? They folded. Right. So it was no longer a choice, but we took the well, we did whatever we had to do. We did Facebook Live, and some of you responded. And we appreciate it because it's about letting folks outside of the chamber see what is going on in your government. And we will continue in that vein. Laura, in her introduction, I won't waste time there. She talked to you about a lot of issues that we're considering, like they're considering, like the flat tax and all of that. That was dead on arrival. The people just jumped on that and, that just blew up, right? They pulled it back. There's a Doge bill that was supposed to come out. They pulled back because they can't, the force and the pressure, your phone calls, it is working. Don't think it's not, it is working. So where do we go from here? I'm going to wrap up. Social media. Please continue to share posts that you see, that you think are good. Also, when we post something as Democrats, and the other side comes on and they'll post too. Like I've noticed some of the posts that I've gotten on my Facebook page defending BMW. But I've also seen Democrats come on and refute what the other side is saying. You know, that's an easy way to get into the mix. I want you to adopt the legislator. If you live in a place where you have a Republican legislator, I need you to adopt them. And you I need you to adopt them. And all these Democratic huddles that we have where they live, we're gonna unleash on them. Now, why is this is important? And I'm gonna tell you it works. So y'all know we had a little trash issue in Greenville County, right? Shout out to the North Greenville Dems who have warned Mike Burns out over trash. Sharon Compass and her group and the network that she's built up there, along with other people who are just simply concerned about keeping their trash, have worn him out. I swear to God, he came back to session and looked like he had aged. Ennis will tell you now, he just said, well, let them have trash, whatever they want to have. You know, he came from shutting them down to let TR have whatever trash they want. Folks, you got to be vigilant. So I'm asking you to adopt. So if you're in the Fountain Inn group, adopt a legislator, adopt a Republican legislator, and we can do the same thing on other issues. Also, when we do, let's get the facts. Let's get the facts. Let's piggyback on what is happening. I want to thank Stacey Mars, our new chairman here in Greenville, and Catherine Harvey for jumping on the bandwagon with the BMW. They saw what we were trying to do at the state level. And guess what? YFF picked it up. So we have to coalesce around these issues and unite. And when we see an opportunity, just take it to the next level. So with that, I'll look forward to having your questions, but these are the best of times because it's given us opportunity for a city council race. It's given us opportunity for midterms. And by the time we get to that 4-year mark, we're gonna still be standing, y'all. I know it's rough. We just at day 87 or whatever. I don't know, but we're still gonna be standing. We've got what it takes and we can get the job done. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you, Chandra. That was really great, except for one thing. I am not having Bobby Cox over for Thanksgiving dinner. I will do a lot, but I draw the line at that.
I know this is not in the sequence, but does everybody in here live in Greenville County? No. Raise your hand if you live in Greenville County. For everybody raise their hand, you have a representative in the house. Maybe Bannister, maybe Wickensheimer, maybe Burns. Can you speak up? Every single member of the House, Greenville County Republican delegation in the House sponsored this bill. The DEI bill Chandra is talking about. It's not just that they say, I've got to vote for it because Donald Trump will primary, whatever. They sponsored it, y'all. They sponsored it. They brought that gift to the Christmas tree. And in the Senate, there is a DEI bill sponsored by our new State Senator Jason Elliott. The hypocrisy of that need not be magnified. So for everyone that raised your hand, you're represented by someone that sponsored this bill. They're all in. So call them. Call them. Tell them that you're one of their constituents and that you take great exception to the bill because it will have ramifications down at the local level. Sorry.
That was Dorothy Dow, Councilwoman, for anyone who didn't know. Okay. Ennis Fant has an eclectic professional background. He's a chemical engineer, a pastor, a real estate and insurance broker, and one of 2 Democratic members of the County Council. He serves on or has served on several important community boards, including the Greenville Chamber of Commerce, the Urban League, and Greenville Tech. Thank you, Ennis, for being here. I'm looking forward to being inspired by you.
Thank you, Laura, and good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here, I think. It's a little rough being in politics right now and being on county council, and yeah, we have to survive Donald Trump even at the local level. It's interesting times on county council. We just elected 4 new people, which is, and all 4 came in acting like Donald Trump, just like clones. But that's not lasting too long. 2 of them have fallen off and have tried to wake up from that little nap they were on, but we still have 2 that are still acting like they're Trumpites or acolytes or whatever you want to call them. It's if you live in District 18, Kelly Long, or if you live in District 27, Gary Collins, pray, and I don't know what else you can do. Maybe visit them, but they are awful. I know Wendell and Chandra have been talking about the anti-DEI legislation, and though they think it's funny at the council level. Now, back, you know, when you start meeting at 3:30 and you don't get finished till 8, and you know, council was a lot older a few years back than it is now, so they had to eat at some point during that whole cycle. So we always take a break about 5:30 to get something to eat. And it was always nice dinner. I mean, nothing shabby. I'd skip lunch just because I knew we were gonna have a good time at 5:30. I mean, they would have ribs and baked beans and loaded baked potatoes and salad. And now that there's a new crowd here, they too scared talking about y'all wasting taxpayer money. So now we get Duke's pimento cheese sandwiches. That's right. Because the staff, seriously, the staff is so scared of these new people and they so anti everything. So now I'm back to eating lunch on Tuesdays. In fact, to tell you the DEI part, we have a huge, of course, you know, the new county square, and we got a huge conference room. We used to call it the blue room. It's just, this room's not blue now. So it's just a conference room, but it's as far as from here to that wall. Chairs on both sides. And that's where we go fuss and fight and try to limit the fuss in public that we just fuss privately. Well, that's where we used to eat. Well, lo and behold, I have to eat by myself. They don't even eat with me. I say, y'all gonna leave me here by myself? Nah, man, this is the DEI room. You just eat in here by yourself. And they're serious. They're serious. They call it the DEI room and they made me eat by myself. So even my friends who used to eat in there last year won't eat. Man, you know we still cool, but they'll get on me. I'm just have to eat out here in the hall. So it was up until last meeting that a couple of people did come in there. And you know what? You think I should be offended? I was not. I'm like, if y'all don't want to eat with me, that's fine. Because it lets me do 2 things. Number 1, I can go back for seconds and not worry about being shamed. And if it's hitting on something, I'll fix it to go plate and take it home too. So just leave me alone and don't come in here. Well, county council, it has ebbs and flows. The last 6 years, up until this year, I was in the majority. I was just don't know how much I miss Dan and Mike Barnes and Chris Harrison and Butch All my buddies, we had always had 7 votes no matter what. So we always knew we were gonna win. When we went, I don't care what they can fuss, talk. We knew we had 7 votes. And on a good day, Joy Russo vote with us and we'd have 8. So we knew we were never going to lose. So it was like, y'all haven't heard me fuss a whole lot about anything for the last 6 years because it was nothing to fuss about. We're going to win. Now, back in the minority again with this new crowd. But things are changing quickly. First time being in the minority in 6 years. However, the dissension is starting to show in their ranks. So we've already seen Blunt, the chairman, and what's the one down there in Possum Kingdom? District 26, Rick Bradley. So we started out, it started out 8-4. Pulled me and Alan Mitchell and Liz and Dan Tripp. That's it. And you had the other 8. And we were like, man, put your seatbelt on. This is going to be a rough ride. Well, quickly, the chairman saw how crazy they were. So he's come back around. And of course, Rick Bradley does whatever the chairman does. So we went from 4 to 6 pretty quickly. So now we're at 6-6. All right. So they can't do anything either. So can't do any damage. So we're sitting there looking at each other and quiet as it's kept. What's the guy from 21? McGahee. He was all pro-Trump, everything. Now he's a pilot, so he has some good sense buried in there somewhere. And so he's starting to realize there's a difference between campaigning and governing. So it looks like, ask me Wednesday morning, but it looks like we may be back at 7-5 good sense. So we're getting there. So the only ones you got to really worry about and look out for is 27 with Gary Collins and 18. What's that name? Kelly Long, yeah. How she beat Mike Barnes, I have no. They went after everybody that voted for the tax increase. I mean, they went after everybody who voted for the tax increase 2 years ago. First tax increase in 30 years. It was only supposed to be the tax increase was supposed to be good for 5. It was supposed to be good from 93 to 98. It went from 93 to 2023 without a tax increase. And so the taxes went up basically $28 per 100,000. And if you own homestead, $17 per 100,000. And they went after every single poor me and Liz only one survived that they went after because of the tax increase. So here we go. Oh, let me tell you how Gary Collins is, right? Everybody knows about the Swamp Rabbit Trail. Everybody loves it. Everybody knows it's a gem of Greenville County. The federal government was giving us a $925,000 grant to expand the Swamp Rabbit Trail. But Gary Collins wanted to sound like McMaster, I guess, but really not knowing what you're doing. We don't want any federal government money. They turned out $1 million to expand the Swamp Rabbit Trail that would have cost us nothing. So nobody's been on council more than 4 years other than me, Liz, and Dan. So every time they make a big goof up, here they come calling. What we supposed to do? So I try to do I tell them to go fly a kite, jump in the lake? Or do I, like I kid Wendell, keep my little preacher hat on and talk to him? So I keep my little church hat on and talk to him and tell him how to move to reconsider at the next meeting. Or if you're too scared or you can't get enough votes, we can just recall it on the council floor. So we are not going to send $1 million back to Washington because we're too stupid to keep it. The little trickery going on right now, we're in the middle of budget cycle. $800 million, we do a budget 2 years at a time because we absolutely just could not deal with this every year. So we do 2 years at a time. And so of course they want to go after everything, right? They all loaded for bear. So we're tricking them. We keep something, we got all this stuff, but we just make up stuff to talk about. So they can't talk about the budget. They don't even know we're tricking them. And we just coming up, we need to talk about this. We just talking about stuff we know we're never going to do. And what we're waiting on is till it gets to June. And the end of May, because you got 3 readings, we're gonna wait till the last week of May. You know what, boys? We got to vote on this budget. And it's this thick. So they don't have a clue where to look or what to look for. Okay. So we're just tricking them, keeping the calendar going, all kind of, we just meet. We meeting today, what, 3:30, 4? I mean, we just meet all the time. So just keep them confused so they don't know what's going on. It's deliberate. And of course, you know what they're after. They're after Greenlink. They want to take that $3.5 million away. They want to take the $5 million away from affordable housing. And they want to take away the $500,000 we spend on the Human Relations Commission. So anything dealing with lower income people, it's on the chopping block. So that's why we got to muck up the agenda with goofy stuff so they can't figure out how to get to it. And when they wake up, it's too late. That's the plan. All right. It's only $7 million out of $400 million anyway. So you can't balance the budget off of it. So let me do it on a couple more little quick items. There's a whole lot of y'all in here. So I know somebody voted against the penny in here. I know somebody did. I promise you it wasn't me. I did the best I could. Listen, what's funny? It barely lost, all right? But the roads are still horrible. They went out there and voted against it. Okay, what's your solution? The roads are still horrible. 43 people are still moving to Greenville every day. 250,000 will be here over the next 20 years. So what do? Just close your eyes and fold your arms and think the problem fixes itself? How about that's failed leadership? Period. Okay? Well, and they got these old extreme right people. I wish I could get off their email. So they want these extreme right. They just light up county council, right? And they email everybody. I really wish they would just leave me off, okay? But if I block them, they'll probably file an ethics complaint because it's a county paid taxpayer email, so you can't block me. So I'm supposed to just let you irritate me all the time, okay? Well, guess what they little nasty email say? Michelle Schumann, that's her name. Y'all, if y'all don't know the name, familiarize yourself with Michelle. She hates me. Michelle Schumann, okay? Please leave me off your emails. But she lights up. No, I wouldn't care. Oh, she still tries to sell insurance. I caught her at the renewal for health insurance last October. And boy, she was trying to get her a little coffee and I sneaked up behind her. Surprise, surprise. Boy, you'd have thought she saw a ghost. She dropped everything, just took off. She sends out these nasty emails, not talking to me. She talks to those extreme right people that she campaigned for and got them elected. And how quickly y'all forget, since they just not ripping the whole government up like she wanted them to. And so it's the extreme right in these emails. Guess what she says all the time? Y'all still haven't done anything to fix the roads. Mama, you the one campaigned to vote against the penny. So guess what her solution is? You do know we have a balanced budget requirement. It's not like we can run deficits. We do have a balance, and it's all we can do to balance the budget. Even to balance the budget, 5 of them got beat. So they want to take 40 million, Chandra, 40 million out of the 400 million, which the budget is just balanced as is. But they want to take 40 million out of the 400 million to spend on roads. So what you going to do? Lay off 300 people? Some of the stuff they come up with doesn't make sense. I'm going to give y'all my suggestion in advance. Even the little colleagues of mine haven't heard this, okay? Because we still got to fix the roads. I applaud the legislature. At the last minute, last year, they changed the rule on the transportation penny, which used to didn't exempt medicine and groceries, like the capital penny did. So thanks Chandra and Wendell and everybody in Columbia who now allow the transportation penny to exempt medicine, because we knew seniors were not going to vote for it at all, this life or the next one, if you didn't exempt medicine and groceries. Well, now, think about it. It might have been better for us The capital penny could only go 8 years, and it was only going to generate $1 billion. Well, we needed $2 billion to fix the roads. Okay. With the transportation penny, it can go up to 25. So now first is 8. Why don't we do the number of years we need? Maybe 18 years. Okay. Now, how do I get these people on the right to go along? Okay. You don't have medicine and groceries. We didn't have it last time. They still voted against it. Well, what areas did I tell you they were against? Affordable housing, transportation, and human relations. Okay, hateful people. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take transportation, Green Link, affordable housing, and human relations, take them out of the general fund budget? Take them out. So all these beloved homeowners who don't want their taxpayer dollars paying for that, take it out. And we shift it and let it come out of the capital transportation penny and let that fund it. And so the people who just hate those 3 items won't have to pay for it. And it's paid for by people who visit Greenville from out of town and who travel on our roads. Now, the idea is either do I want to try it this year in an off election when it's only municipalities voting and cross my fingers that the people in TR, above TR, like Gownsville and Tigerville and all that stay home, Possum Kingdom? Or do I wait? Or do I wait until next year when it's a governor's race and try it then? I'm gonna have to hustle real quick if I want to do it this year. And we still feeling each other out on council at the moment. So I'm not sure I can get enough traction to slide it through this year, but I'm gonna mention it. But if I get pushback, I'll definitely probably try it next year. But think about that one. They hate that so bad. If we said we're gonna let the visitors pay for it, when they come from Knoxville to the SEC women's tournament, let them pay for it since you hate it so bad. But we'll still have it. Okay. So that's kind of one thing I'm looking at. And Chandra kind of touched on Greater Greenville sanitation. It's amazing. Mike Burns needs to let his personal vendettas with Steve Cole, they need to go to dinner, have a drink, figure that out among themselves versus filing legislation and scare 60,000 residents to absolute death. I mean, I knew all along it wasn't going anywhere, but you couldn't really explain that to people who are all in an uproar about it. And then he called me, now, buddy, now you know we. I said, well, you part of the Freedom Caucus, dog. Don't buddy me. He's talking about, I bit off more than I could chew. They wearing me out. Talking about these people up here in TR want to keep that service. I'm like, well, you stopped getting so mad at people and filing legislation just because you could do it. And now you was, plus y'all, it's unconstitutional. And check this out now, and I'm done. In 74, what could I set it up in 68? In 74, home rule came in, right? County council now does their budget every year for Greater Greenville Sanitation. We do their millage, we do their bonding capacity, and we do their commissioners. So now if we do all that, how can Mike Barnes come in all after the fact and decide what I'm gonna do? Plus you can't do isolated legislation like that anymore. If you do, it has to apply statewide to everybody, which they know it's unconstitutional. That's why I know it's not going anywhere. Now they want to tell the people what to do with the little bit of land they have left over, talking about they want it in a conservation district. Why would I agree to that when I've already paid for it with my tax dollars? Mine now. That land is already paid for. But if they got to put that little bit of land that's left in a conservation district so nothing from the transfer station leaches into the creek, if that's all you need to get this to go away, that's fine. Plus, they already know if they do anything crazy, we'll sue and they'll lose because it's a violation of home rule, period. So, and guess who does special purpose districts now for counties since 74? The counties, right? So let's say they were just had too much to drink and really just dissolve Greater Greenville Sanitation. We already had a backup plan to put the special purpose district right back and give them the trucks right back so the service wouldn't be interrupted. So it's a big to-do about nothing. It's a personal dispute between Steve Cole, who runs Greater Greenville Sanitation, and Mike Burns. And they just upset a whole bunch of people for no reason when nothing is ever going to happen. That's enough. from me. How about that?
Okay, do we have you got any questions? You should be, no, no, no. Oh. Okay. Any questions? If I got a couple of board members who can grab these for us, that'd be great. And while we're collecting those, I'm gonna take a moment. We're gonna come back to the questions. Gonna take a moment for a couple of announcements. This year, we're focusing on playing a role in our communities and helping nonprofit organizations that serve those communities. Many of them are seeing cuts in grants or donations, as well as an increase in need at the same time. In March, we volunteered for several shifts at Project Hope. Project Hope feeds Greenville's homeless and also provides occupational training opportunities. They provided today's lunch and also the catering for the advocacy training I mentioned earlier. They're a great partner, serve a crucial role in Greenville. And I'd like to ask Michelle Liggett, the executive director, to take just a minute or two and tell us a little bit about your work.
Thank you, everyone. I see a lot of very familiar faces. That's always nice. Ennis, I don't know how I can follow that. I don't have any good juice to spell. I am with Project Host. We're known as the Soup Kitchen right up the street. Most of you know us for that work. But we are a nonprofit here in Greenville that fights food insecurity with 6 different programs. Laura mentioned federal funding and some of the freezes. It has been a very, what's the best word? Interesting year so far in the nonprofit sector. There's a lot of confusion and uncertainty. And while we are good and healthy and the Project Host is going to keep working on our mission and we have no problems with that, the people we serve are definitely confused and scared and unsure. So once again, we're back in the same role we found ourselves in 2020, where we're trying to help disperse good information, correct information, and make sure that our guests feel taken care of and reassured that Greenville will not forget them behind. It was wonderful having several groups out from Dem Women out in our soup kitchen, in our garden, helping with some of our outreach programs, and also helping today with a can drive. I can't express how much that is helping all of us. Our soup kitchen relies 100% on donated foods. This is a really rough time of year for a lot of people. I think it's hard to deal with all the stuff that's going on politically. I know in 2020, it was wonderful for me to have someplace to go and be active and busy and felt like I was contributing. So I'm going to encourage you all to reach out to me if you want to come and volunteer. There's no better way than get your hands dirty in the garden or get your shoes dirty in the soup kitchen and help feed some people and help our neighbors out as well. I'm also going to do a shameless plug. We have our annual plant sale coming up. There's Thursday and Friday, the 17th and 18th from 9 to 3, right over here, 525 South Academy Street, behind our building. We'll also have baked goods, such as the cookies you had today, available for sale from our bakery. That money supports our garden, which grows about 2,000 pounds of produce that we serve in our soup kitchen and our kids feeding program. I know you're going to go to Home Depot and spend $30 and kill some plants, so come do it with us. Thank you everyone for being here today and for our speakers for giving us some optimism and hope. It's definitely well needed. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. We got a couple of questions here. Oh, we got a couple more. For Ennis. It's a yes or no. That's not really. How much in danger is the library from a budget cut standpoint? I know you don't need this, but I give it to you anyway.
That same crowd that sends those nasty emails. This is the outside people that want to get rid of the whole staff and start over and get rid of even more books than they already got gotten rid of. But the good news is Councilman controls their budget, and we're actually trying to add some more to it. They don't even ask for additional increases because they have their own separate millage, as you know from your bill. And they never ask for increases. And we're trying to cut down on turnover because they really got some good people there, but they don't pay a whole lot. They don't. I mean, it's not a living wage. And so we're trying, instead of losing money, we're trying to figure out, y'all need to ask for a little more. And there is a consensus on council to support the library. So if they were to ask for some more, they could get it. So there are gonna be no cuts.
Thank you. On sort of the same subject, can you speak to the ACLU lawsuit against the Greenville Library System and Greenville County Council? How can we advocate for our library to have better leadership?
Well, we support it. We're not involved in it at all. We just know a little bit about it from the outside. It's gonna be a lot of outside noise. There are some board members that need to go. Yeah. Yeah, several that need to go. And we are in the process of working on that. But that's the only way really to fix it is to do a better job with board members. But at least we already know that. And now we need good people to apply too. Not just say, that needs to be a better group. We need to get some better people on the board. Poor Ken Baxter calls them all the time, just miserable after board meetings. So, but yes, we got to change some of the board members.
Chandra, what is the chance that the Senate does not move forward on the diversity, equity, and inclusion legislation?
That's a good question. I didn't bring my 8-ball with me. What we think is going to happen. I missed the meeting y'all this morning, so Black Caucus met. I'll just share that with you. And we were able to convene our sisters and brethren on the Senate side this morning. I was on staff meeting from. We want to work with them on the diversity, equity, and inclusion bill. You know, as you know, you've been watching the trash situation. Senators have special privileges. They have the ability to object. All you need is one to hold. We don't know what the strategy is going to be yet. Honestly, I don't think they'll take it up before May. Y'all, we have 3 weeks left in session. We're off this week. We're on furlough. And then we have 3 weeks left, May 8th. And we'll be screaming out there, you know. So I don't think it'll be taken up this year. We still have the budget to do, the Senate has the budget to do, and then comes back to our side and we've got to reconcile it.
So we have time to find that one person.
That one person.
All right,
So keep calm, keep calm.
keep calling, join us on the phones. While you were, actually, take this back. You explain what's going on with BMW. That's the question.
Okay, so for those who missed it, one of Trump's senior advisors, Steve Navarro, made a comment, an uninformed comment, in my opinion, that said that the method of manufacturing that BMW employs is not working, and it's not good for America. You know, based on this whole tariff conversation. Well, we know most automobile in the industry, they assemble parts now, right? And they employ a just-in-time manufacturing model. And for BMW, if you've ever been to the plant, and I have, they build BMWs custom. So it makes sense to have parts. And you assemble them the way the people order them, right? So we heard that, y'all, and that was like somebody talking about your mama.
Yeah.
For us, especially grief of Spartanburg folks, we know. And so that was easy for us to take them to task. Because the numbers don't, well, first of all, that's ridiculous. You were uninformed. You don't know much about you. Well, does anybody in the Trump administration know anything about anybody? Right, okay. So we took them to task. And so we felt like we had to set the story straight. I mean, folks, they have 11,000 employees just at the Spartanburg plant. BMW contributes to 43 to 45,000 jobs across our state. They make 1,500 cars a day, 400,000 annually, and they ship to 125 countries around the world. Now, if that's not working, I don't know what isn't working. Oh, the tariffs.
Right.
So we felt like, as upstate legislators, and it's been peeped by the governor, silenced by our congressional delegation, silenced by Greenville delegation leadership. All these Republicans up here have said nothing. So that's what I mean about seizing in on the opportunity to set the record straight with facts. So that's what the BMW debacle is about.
Thank you, Chandra. So there are some other questions, but I'm going to get the answers to them from our speakers and send them out in an email, in the next email that goes out, which will be late this week, early next week, because we're running a little late, and I do want to get through a couple of quick things. So we're gonna kind of lightning round this stuff. Ahead of today's meeting, we collected donations online for our new sort of 50-50 community organization program that took the place of our raffle. So we select a nonprofit every month. We ask for donations on the sign-in site. When you buy your tickets, you can make a donation or register for the lunch. You can make a donation there. There's also on your table a card with a QR code for this month's beneficiary. Last month was the Kroc Center's youth program. We raised $85. 50% of that goes to them. 50% of it comes to them women. Next month, we've selected the Palmetto State Abortion Fund. Their executive director was one of our speakers last month. Some of you will remember. This is an amazing group that is committed to making sure every South Carolina woman can get the health care they are entitled to. And they are fully volunteer run and operated. We have been called upon a couple of times to help them out, and we've been able to do that. So we'd appreciate it if you could make a donation there if you feel like it. On your tables, there's the QR code, or add it to your sign up for next month's lunch. I know they'll appreciate the support. Along these same lines, we're volunteering again this year for Hands on Greenville. It's May 3rd, 8:30 to 11:30. I think I need about 10 more people to sign up to help prepare materials at the Berea Middle School. There'll be a link in the Donkey's Tail email for that. And I appreciate everybody giving that some thought too. Really quickly, we're going to go through a lightning rod of the public embarrassment part of the program. It's one of my favorite parts. First, we invite our elected officials or former elected officials to stand up and be recognized. Anyone? Dorothy? Brenda? Ennis? If I'd forgotten you, it would be bad. We have that's Chandra. We have a lot of new people with us, so if you are a first timer who's here for the first time, if you could stand up. All right. Welcome, welcome. I hope you'll be back. I hope you met some people, learned something. It's great to have you here. We had 26 new members sign up in March. Some may be here today, so if you are a new member and this is your first meeting as a member, if you could stand up, that'd be terrific. And to the 2024 members, a gentle reminder that your 2025 dues are due. You don't want to not be a part of the next 2 years. Come on. We want to thank all our members for their generosity, their support, and this year for their hands and their willingness to work. Finally, our friends in Spartanburg have a lot of things going on. County Chair and Congressional Candidate Extraordinaire Catherine Harvey is going to tell you what's happening.
Okay, y'all, it's always wonderful to be back in Greenville, and Chandra and all of our House reps, thank y'all for what you are doing right now, especially with the BMW plant that reverberated through our community to have y'all stand up. And it's so critical that we have a collection of voices right now holding feet to the fire. It's imperative. And knowledge is power. So we have a whole host of events coming up in Spartanburg, and we would love for y'all to join us. And we are the goal is to educate voters. Starting with April 22nd, Congressman Clyburn is hosting a town hall at Walford. This is going to be at 6 o'clock. That's a Tuesday. It has not been announced yet, so I'm telling y'all in this room. I think the party's announcing it tonight. We are keeping the location off of websites and printed materials for now, but letting y'all know that's where it'll be, and then the registrants will receive it closer to the date. So I think it's his first in-person town hall this session, and he's coming because William Timmons won't. So we're honored to host him here in the upstate. It'll be a big deal for us, and so we hope you'll join us there. The following Monday, on April 28th, Walford is hosting Amalia Luxardo, the CEO of WREN, and she is going to be talking about the engagement at the State House, what's happening with regards to attacks on women's rights and so forth. That's a 5 o'clock meeting, and they're having kind of a whole reception for her. I think that starts at 4:30. All of this is on Walford's website as well as ours, and the Greenville website is going to be updated this week too. Then April 29th, which is the Tuesday, Walford is launching a new political series that I'm helping with called Candid Conversations with. This will be a bipartisan conversation across the aisle. The goal is to foster discourse with civility. But again, all of this is to educate voters and people right now, because our Republican elected officials are not. Right. And so the first series is actually with Trey Gowdy and Bakari Sellers. It's going to be moderated by Billy Webster. That's 6 p.m. April 29th. And fingers crossed, the second one will be in September with the sister senators. We're working to get them up here. So hopefully that we'll be able to deliver that in September. Then in May, we are going to be hosting Representative Justin Pearson from the Tennessee 3 at our spring fundraiser. This will be a fundraiser specifically supporting our Young Dems as well. So we'll be honoring Spartanburg Young Changemakers and hopefully our House representatives. That invite's coming out today. Really to lift up this moment where we are seeing rooms fill like this. We have more engagement in Spartanburg County than I have seen in my lifetime right now. This is what our Monday night meetings look like. And it's pretty incredible. And it's because people are pushing back. So all of these opportunities are to gather people in rooms, show folks that there are other folks like them who care, and then mobilize them. And nobody does it better than our Dem women. So thank you again for having me today.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, next month we are going to be honoring moms and mentors. We invite you to bring your mom, your daughter, your mentor, your mentee. whatever, we're gonna take, photos of you again like we did last year, put cool backgrounds on them, so they'll be a keepsake if you want. Our speakers will be focusing on the causes and solutions and challenges of childcare, which is an extremely important issue in Greenville County, which is a childcare desert. Finally, I know you all want to do something productive. Step one is to sign up to be a volunteer. There is a table card on your table that has a QR code. I encourage you to take a snap of it, and you don't have to sign up now, but I'd like you to take a look at it. There's a form to fill out and let us know which kinds of things you want to do. These are not the same kinds of things we've always asked you about. They're more active and more engaged and more hopefully productive. So if you have some ideas on what you want to do, email me at demwomen@greenvilledemocrats.com. I would love to talk to you. And I thank everybody for coming today and look forward to seeing you in May. Please go home safely and bus your tables.